Is it coming across? Okay. For our next panel today, we're very fortunate that we have a guest whose two most famous roles are Charles Brady, an incestuous supernatural shapeshifter that feeds on the life force of virginal young women in Stephen King's Sleepwalkers, and also Leo Wyatt, a guardian angel for witches in the classic television series Charmed. Those two characters are a testament to the range of this gifted actor. Join me in welcoming Brian Krause. Hey, Brian, good to see you again.
You too, thank you.
Yeah, welcome, welcome.
Hi, hello. Whoa. How is everybody? Awesome.
How's your day going so far?
That's great.
All right.
Yeah, so far so good.
Well, I wanted to start off by asking you about your first acting classes, because you got involved in acting when you were in junior high. What sparked your interest in becoming an actor at such a young age?
Well, honestly, I was getting bullied in junior high by this kid, and I had too many music classes already, so I needed to find a class that had a nice exit so I could get out of the school and run into the woods away from this guy, and it was drama. It had its own exit door, and so that's how I found myself in drama.
Wow.
Then I, did well. It was fun, and then I started doing it more in high school and, taking classes from there. But it's really ironic because the night before I flew to Fiji to do the Return of the Blue Lagoon, I hadn't seen this kid in all of high school because he went to another high school, thank goodness. And the night before I flew out, I walked into this gas station, and in walking the other way was him. And I'd been working out for months, and I was like, "What's up?" And it was just kind of ironic. I didn't tell him, because of you, thank you. I'm about to embark on something incredible, and it was just, it was interesting timing.
That wasn't quite the answer I was expecting, but that's a great answer. Who were your inspirations as a young actor? Who did you look up to, both professionally and personally? Because there may have been somebody not involved in the acting profession that inspired you.
My mother was always kind of an inspiration and, behind me doing, sports and arts and everything. And when I started getting into it, she said, "Look, find an actor you like. Let's go to the library. Let's read an autobiography and get a book and, learn about this person." And that person for me was Robert Redford. So I read his autobiography and watched all his movies, and that was kind of the early inspiration.
Yeah, and what a coincidence that he just passed away recently.
Yeah.
What were your feelings about that?
I mean, iconic actor, right, and human. Some of the roles that he played, he was just, he was always so likable in all his roles. And then, even as a director, he was, something else. He's a legend, for sure.
Yeah, and there was an honesty, I think, to his performances that some actors have a tough time conveying.
It's not easy.
Now, you were talking about working out. You had been working out when you saw this kid that had bullied you so many years before. And you're a really athletic person. I mean, you're involved in martial arts. I read that you're a marathoner.
Yep.
Are you getting ready for a marathon right now?
No, not right now.
Oh, okay.
I want to do another one, but, it's a lot of running.
Yeah. I used to do 10Ks.
Yeah.
So that was my limit, and I never understood how somebody could do a marathon.
You just don't stop.
Yeah. Oh, my God. So did that help you? Did working out and being really in good shape help you in your acting career? And the reason I asked that is because I went back and I rewatched Sleepwalkers to prepare for today's interview. And I see you hopping into that car a couple of times. I could not do that on my best day ever.
I was 22.
Well, like I said,
I
when
was agile.
22, I couldn't have done that.
Yeah.
But does it help? Did it help you?
You know, I
get in
played
your role?
soccer for a year in college, and so I was always played every sport I could. And I think where it helped me was finding the discipline to put my nose to the grind and treat acting as kind of a sport. Like, you got to show up, you got to practice, you got to do it. And I think that's the discipline of being an athlete helped me find the discipline to go after acting.
Sure, that makes a lot of sense. How old were you when you got your first professional job?
In 19.
19. Was that Return to the Blue Lagoon? or had you
No,
worked
I
before
did a McDonald's commercial that I got cut out of. Then I did a couple little commercials, and I had a line on Highway to Heaven.
Oh, okay.
So I had done a couple little jobs for like a year or two before Blue Lagoon came around.
What was that experience like on Blue Lagoon? I mean, you're young, you're following a really kind of an iconic movie. That got
It
so
was
much
the
attention.
forbidden movie when I grew up, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
then to be a
absolutely.
part of it, and how do I tell my mother? Thank goodness it was PG-13 and not rated R like the first one. But yeah, big shoes to fill there for sure.
Sure.
And I was lucky enough because I met Christopher Atkins before.
Oh, yeah.
And then ironically, years later, he played on my baseball team, and
Oh, wow.
so we've become friends. And I call him Dad, and he's only 10 years older than me. He doesn't like it.
How did you get the role of Charles Brady in Sleepwalkers?
Just audition. I had signed, when I did the Blue Lagoon, I had a 3-picture deal with then Columbia Pictures. So when Stephen King's movie came through the studio, they have a list of people that are under contract. So look at these guys first. I mean, they looked at everybody, but it kind of put me on a shorter list. But then I still had to go in and audition and do that thing. And it's funny, the night before my final audition, we lived on like the 3rd or 4th story of this apartment building and never heard cats in my life. And the night before, out my window, it was like all night long, like some feral cat screaming in this. And I was living with, if you know Jason London at the time, we were freaking out. And he's like, "You're going to get this, man. This is a sign." I was like, "I don't know." And then I woke up. I didn't even get sleep. Like, I was terrified. And then when I got it, we never heard the cats again.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Really bizarre.
A sign.
Yeah.
How involved was Stephen King in the production of the movie, and did you have any interactions with
I
him?
never got to meet him, unfortunately. I was just with Mick Garris, the director, not too long ago, and he was telling a little story about the movie. And Steven had met Mick and wanted him for it, but then the studio didn't want Mick. They hired some other guy. Then this other director came in and started rewriting it. And then when Steven found out
And it
this
was
guy
his
was
original
rewriting,
screenplay, right?
So when he started rewriting, he's like, "This guy's out of here."
Yeah.
And then he called Mick up, and him and Mick have coordinated with many movies since then, and they worked together
Many
quite a lot.
series
Yeah,
and really, really great work.
yeah.
In fact, I think that Sleepwalkers is vastly underrated. I think
thanks.
it really is a great, great horror film. There were a lot of cameos in the film. You had like Clive Barker, Joe Dante, Toby Hooper, John Landis. Did you have the opportunity to meet any of them or
I didn't.
interact with them at all?
No, never met Luke Skywalker. Didn't,
Oh, yeah.
I didn't
That's
get to
right.
meet any
I
of
didn't even
them.
list Mark Hamill,
Yeah.
but he was in the opening scene.
They sent me away to do. I was doing press for the Blue Lagoon, and so the studio was like, "Hey, you got to go to New York and go do this thing," and so they sent me away for a week and a half, and that's when they all came in and did their thing, and
Oh, okay.
I never got to meet any of them. It was kind of a bummer.
It's kind of weird because I think as fans of movies, we think that everybody who's working on a movie, they all know each other. They go out
Right.
and hang out after they film scenes, but you shoot at different times and
Yeah.
different scenes, and you can be in a movie and never meet a person at all. It's not
Never meet
unusual
'em.
at all.
That's right.
Yeah. The mother and son relationship in Sleepwalkers turned off. I can remember reading reviews at the time,
Right.
and some people didn't like the incestuous nature of that. When you got the script and when you got the part, did you have any trepidation about that? Or?
A little bit, but then, talking to Mick and then getting the note from Steven, we're aliens. We're pretending to be mother and child.
Right.
But we're actually a married alien couple that's pretending to be mother and child, right?
Oh, okay.
So was like, okay, well, still, I don't think my mom should watch this
Yeah.
movie. But it kind of put me at ease going, all right, yeah, that's right. We're aliens pretending to be mother and child. I don't think it helped.
No,
I don't think it helped.
No, unfortunately, because reviewers did point it out.
Yeah.
Because I remember reading reviews at the time. And of course, your two co-stars were Alex Krieger
Right.
and Machen Amick. Did I pronounce
Amick,
that right?
I think it's
Amick?
Amick. Yeah.
Okay.
Who was on Riverdale and The Witches.
Yeah.
She's got a great career. Now she's directing.
Yeah,
So
those-
she's doing a lot.
Those are actually two of my own personal celebrity crushes. I
Ah.
think they're gorgeous,
Gorgeous.
gorgeous women. What can you tell me about working with them? What do you remember most about working with
Well,
them?
I was 22. I felt so out of my element. Alice had been. She's a superstar. Been working forever. One of my very first jobs, it was the pilot of Baywatch, and I had one line, and it was to Machen Amick, who was the guest star of the pilot. And I'm supposed to say to her, I go, hey, cool sweatshirt, where you get it, right? And I had to walk through the sand, turn, say it. Well, I got cut out because I couldn't hit my mark. And then here I am 3 years later starring with her, and they all had so much experience. So, I just felt so out of my element, being the rookie on the block and hear these, professional. But they taught me, they were humble and they were giving and caring and nice and brought me into the fold. And, I'm still friends with Machen and Alice today. So,
that's cool.
but they taught me, what it's like to be humble.
Yeah.
And, you're not bigger than anything. You're just a person. Let's go. Let's get in. Let's work. And so the lessons I learned from them, how to handle yourself, was really important.
Well, that's neat. Well, it's a very confident performance. Just watching you in that role, he's a confident guy, right? 'Cause
Yeah.
he's a supernatural being and has all these amazing powers. The movie was one of the first movies that I can remember making me aware of CGI.
Mm.
And so when Charles transforms in the car, which I assume was all partially CGI, right?
Right.
Did you have to react in any particular way? What was the direction so that they can get that CGI?
So it
scene?
was one of the very first times it had ever been done in a movie.
That's what I thought. I thought it was very early.
I think Michael Jackson had done a music video where they did some of it just before that. But this was the first time in a movie that
Yeah.
we were actually using it and putting it on. So it was very, very tight. Like today, you can just sit here and do anything and, they're going to do it to your face and they can
Right,
do it. But
right.
but then you had to be so, you have to sit here, your head goes here. Like it had to be so meticulous. So there was no like moving around or anything. So it was, they put a little pin under my neck and
Yeah.
which is funny because
Actually, to keep you in
yeah,
mobile?
just so I'm
wow.
always in the same spot. So then,
Gotcha.
when you have a change or you come back, you got to hit that same exact spot. Where it's interesting because in Charmed, where we were using some CGI as well, and to see the difference in 10, 15 years of how.
Amazing.
And now we look at movies now, and it's just incredible the worlds that they can create.
Yeah.
It's really, really changed.
Wow.
And now I feel like an old dinosaur. I remember when
CGI was young.
it was new.
What was the makeup process for the actual Sleepwalker makeup?
Well, I had like 3 different styles. So one where it was just the face, and then one where it was more of a body thing. But then to put the full makeup with the blood and the cuts, it was about 3 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Was that a difficult process? Because being a young actor, that must have been the first time you were ever under heavy makeup.
It was. And, I was kind of complaining a little bit, and then in walks Ron Perlman. And he's like, look, kid, I did this for years on Beauty and the Beast. I don't want to hear anything. He was in makeup for years.
That's right.
Every day. So, he's like, look, this is nothing.
Yeah, and he
Get over it.
A feline character as well.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot to mention Ron Perlman, another one of those cameos in the movie. Nick Garris, I think, is underrated. We talked a little bit about that earlier in the interview.
He's just fantastic. And one of the he doesn't do a lot of cons, but he'll show up and he likes to go out and meet people. And if you ever get a chance, he's just one of the nicest, kindest human beings you'll ever meet. And he's a plethora of knowledge and filmmaking. So if you ever see him somewhere, I really encourage you to go meet him.
And he's the one that, of course, produced The Masters of Horror, that I think used to be on Showtime years ago.
Right, Masters of Horror. What did he do? Directed The Stand. He's so many movies.
Yeah, The Stand, The Shining, the TV version of The Shining, which a lot of people think is actually better than Kubrick's version. Music plays an important part in Sleepwalkers. And there's Enya's Boadicea, which is that haunting theme. Da-da,
Mm-hmm.
and it just goes through, and it just adds this other layer that makes me enjoy the film that much more, because it's this really haunting theme. And then, of course, they play the instrumental version of Sleepwalk, which goes through, which was a very popular hit. Were you aware of any of the use of that music as you were performing? Did they do any of that?
Well, they did the Santo and Johnny the Sleepwalk song when we were in the house. So we knew what that was, the one song. But the rest of it, I had no idea how they were going to layer it.
Okay. What did you think of it when you saw it in the
I fell in
film?
love. I fell in love with the song for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that.
Download it on my phone, and the whole bit, I'm like, hey, it's me.
Moving on to your other most famous role in Charmed. Charmed was a big hit for the WB network. I don't know if people remember, but at the time, I think it was the largest hit they'd ever had when it premiered. How did you get the role of Leo Wyatt? Did any of your previous roles contribute to
I don't know if they did or not. I had met Aaron Spelling numerous times for 90210 and Melrose Place, and he never hired me. So when I got this audition for Leo, I had auditioned for a couple other roles on the show, which he still didn't hire me. And then I got this audition for this, and I was working construction. I had a 1-year-old baby. It's like I'm doing whatever I can to make money, and I got this audition, and I had to leave work. Which, the wife wasn't going to be happy. She wasn't happy anyway, but... and then that day, they're like, okay, come back at 3 o'clock for a callback. And I was like, oh, now I'm not going to get paid for the entire day, right? This is trouble. But then I go back at 3, I read, and they're like, all right, come back at 5, and you're going to read for Aaron. This is the final callback. It's all happening in one day. Yeah. And so I go, okay, well, how do I get Aaron's attention? Right? I've seen him a million times. He doesn't remember me. Maybe when I walk, and you walk in, he had this office. It's like 5,000 square foot room and this big couch, and 20 people sat on this couch, and he sat in the middle, and you're just up here. It's the most nerve-wracking audition room ever. And I was like, okay, I'm going to walk in and say, hello, Mr. Spelling. It's great to see you again. Right? This is, I'll it'll jog his memory. And I say, oh, Mr. Spelling, it's great to see you again. How are you? And he goes, oh. And he looks down, and he goes, Brian, nice to meet you.
A little humbling.
It was humbling, and I instantly got really angry. Just the business, the dad, the working construction, just not working. I just got really angry, and I was like, screw this. I don't care about this role. I don't care about this. They're like, are you ready? Any questions? I go, yeah, let's ready. And I just read it like all angry. Blah, 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 blah. I said, anything else? They're like, no. I said, okay, great. Walked out. Like, and they called me about 10 minutes later and said I got it. So I don't get it.
So, yeah.
Yeah. Really bizarre.
Well, the show is groundbreaking because it was a long-running program with all female leads, which was very unusual at the time. And it's often ranked among the top supernatural television shows of all time. I've seen a lot of different sources that listed as one of the best. How do you explain its enduring popularity? Because it still has fans.
It all goes to the girls, right? Shannon was a force of nature, and Alyssa's just so funny, and Holly was great, and then when Rose came in, I mean, it really is... The four women they're icons in their own right, and then they just had so much chemistry, and I think the enduring and why it works for so many people because it's about making the family. You can choose your family, and they chose. It's okay to be different and still be powerful, and I don't know. I think just the way Shannon and Rose and Holly and all of them kind of, they just. This is before we started talking about empowerment, and these women they were it, I mean, especially through the 90s and, early 2000s. I mean, they're just, they're kind of icons in their own. So, for me, it was just show up, get out of the way, and try not to get fired. Because it seemed like everybody got too close to him, turned into a demon and was gone. So I was like, okay, how do I keep this job?
Well, you were talking about the talented cast, and you were talking about Shannon and Rose and Alyssa and Holly. And during the time, this was pre-social media, but there was a lot of drama associated with the relationship between the leads.
Right.
And Shannon has, I read some things that she had talked about in interviews later, and she had said, I didn't behave well at certain times in my career. But then sadly, passing away at 53, I think that she faced a terminal illness with such grace and with such courage that I think she erased that, that image that she had. And I think people remember how courageous she was at the end.
I mean,
I was going to ask you, what was the
Shannon was
drama
great.
like?
The drama between the girls, now you got to understand, they all knew each other in Hollywood for years before the show. So, there's drama that came from this club and that boy and this thing.
Okay.
So, they had chemistry, but there was already, whatever happens out in the nightclubs, dating different people. And I think that was the beginning of kind of, but then she's such a pro and such a hard worker that she didn't have time. Like, if you showed up to work, it's time to work. Let's go home. Let's be done by 5. Like, let's not stay here all day till 9 o'clock at night and waste time. So she just had this real work ethic, which, not all the girls shared. And so I think that kind of created a little bit of a...
That was the little crack
she was
in
the boss,
foundation.
and you knew when you stepped in that you were going to have to step up.
Yeah.
I'll never forget the first scene I did with her in it. And, I had kind of known her before and friends with my ex-wife and whatever, but I was so nervous. I'm like, if I mess this up right now, she's going to stab me in the neck. Like, but and that was for everybody. Like, you had to step up, and you don't often get that on movies or sets where, the lead is really setting the tone for how to do it.
Sure.
And she was just a professional. And it's a shame. And I think, in the last couple of years, she, faced it, and she went through what she went through is amazing. And I don't know if anybody in here has met her at a Comic-Con, but you would agree that she was probably one of the most gracious people with the fans when we would go out. She just loved it. So it's a shame. She passed way too soon.
Yeah. I had read that you had participated in a podcast. Was it the House of Halliwell?
That's right.
And shortly before her death?
Yeah, we
Is that
started the
correct?
House of Halliwell, and then Shannon came in season 2, and we went over to iHeart, and it just kind of fell apart there, and then she passed.
Yeah.
And so we've picked up the House of Halliwell again and took it back from iHeart and kind of, do our own thing now.
Sure.
So it's just
Sure.
Holly, Drew, and myself.
Yeah. Do you stay in, well, obviously you do. From my next question is, do you stay in touch with any of the cast members? And obviously you do because of the podcast.
Yeah, I talk to Holly and Drew, weekly.
Yeah.
I talk to Rose quite often as well. We're lucky enough that people still watch the show, and
Sure.
we're able to travel. This year we're going to go over to Germany and a couple different cities in Europe, and it'll be the four of us kind of.
Yeah.
It's interesting because we weren't that close when we were making the show. Like, everybody showed up, did your work, get out of my
Right.
personal life, and now we've kind of got this friendship that's just really been built over the last 15, 20 years. It's
Well,
amazing.
That's kind of a neat ending to the
Yeah.
whole story, isn't it?
It's amazing.
That's great. How much of the series was actually filmed in San Francisco?
0.
Really?
Yeah.
See, that really surprises me. So
No.
those exterior shots, they're just totally apart from the scenes that you.
That's right. They would go, or they'd just, you can buy
'Cause
shots.
they're at Fisherman's Wharf.
That's
in one
right.
scene, they show this beautiful exterior
Ne-
shot.
never
You
went.
guys are not in the restaurant.
Not once.
Oh wow,
Yeah.
wow.
It was a bummer because we wanted to go up,
I
you know?
bet. And you're not that far away, right? You're
No,
located in
but
LA,
it's
so-
the cost of bringing 75 people from a crew and all the equipment, and we were on the WB, we didn't have NBC budget,
Yeah.
so to take the crew up there and do it on location would have just been way too much money.
See, that's amazing to me with this such a popular show and such a show that's grabbed a hold of the popular culture, and they have to worry about finances too.
Yeah, it's
right?
amazing. Yeah.
Because even in the last couple of seasons, there were a lot of budgetary concerns that
Right.
even affected your appearance
Right.
in the last season.
Yeah.
So,
So they say.
oh, okay. Well, I have to say, on a personal note, I had never watched Charm before. So okay. I'm an old man. I had never watched Charm, but I had certainly heard about it. My wife had watched it. So we sat down and we started. I said, let's start from the very beginning because I want to see where Brian comes in and how his character's introduced. We binged watched about 10 episodes that first day.
Wow.
And the reason we did was because it was so good. Because I got into it. She kept asking me, do you like this now? Do you like this now? I said, yeah, I really do. I really, really like this. And I think people are going to continue to discover Charmed. Like me,
Yeah.
completely unprepared for how much I was going to like it. Now I'm going to go home after the convention, and I'm going to finish binge watching Charmed. So, yeah. Do you really? Okay. Well, there's
That's
a big
amazing.
fan over there, too.
And it's been amazing. We had people who watched it when it was on the air, and then when it went into reruns, maybe they found it on TNT, and then mothers or dads turned their daughters onto it, and now
Right.
they're mothers, and so we have generations of people that just
Yeah,
keep
absolutely.
handing this show off and kind of discovering it, and
Absolutely.
it's it's a blessing.
It must be very gratifying
It's-
as an actor
it's-
to have.
It's weird because I
Produce
grew up
that kind of
watching,
work.
Happy Days and all these
Yeah.
things that were in reruns, and now I'm on a rerun. It's kind of weird, right? I'm like, oh, I'm that guy. It's a blessing. It's just a blessing.
Well, judging from the reaction when I said I hadn't watched Charmed, I'm going to assume that there are a lot of Charmed fans here who would like to ask questions. So I'm going to pause my interview right now and ask if there are any questions for Brian.
I just wanted to say hi to Brian,
Hi.
and I'm very heartbroken because of Julian. He was just passed away recently.
Yeah, that was a shock to everyone for sure. And thank
Yeah.
you. I don't think he wasn't very public about what was going on with him, as like
Right.
Shannon was. So when that happened, I
Yeah.
think it shocked everyone.
Yeah, he was a good guy.
Yeah,
He really was.
great actor too.
Great actor.
Yeah.
We have a question in front, Ashley. Okay, next.
Sorry, you're like my celebrity crush on Charmed when I was a kid. So it's really cool to see you right now. But I was wondering, did you ever have your children watch Charmed because it's a lot more nicer, friendlier?
No, I only have one son, and then we got divorced season 3 or 4. And she's remarried, and it was forbidden in their house to watch Charmed. So he's never seen it, which is amazing. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier you had a 3-picture deal with the studio for Sleepwalkers. I was curious, how does that work in terms of like what are you getting from it if you still have to audition for the roles?
Well, it just puts, so they set basically a price. So the first movie's, you're going to make this, and then here's the option on the second one. And it was just a way for them to kind of put me a part of their studio. So I couldn't go over to Universal or Warner Brothers, or I was a part of Columbia. Kind of, it's one of the throwbacks. You used to become, a studio person, and you were at a different studio. So it was a way for them to kind of keep my price at a certain level and say, all right, you're going to do this next movie, but you're not getting paid. and we have you under contract. And so then I knew guys over at Universal. They couldn't work at Columbia and 20th Century Fox, and they just kind of corralled their own little actors. They don't really do this anymore. Sign a deal or make you under contract to a studio. So it was kind of one of the last, the last ones. And then they never picked up my third deal. So.
Hello.
Hi.
Do you have a favorite moment during your time making Charmed, like something that just stands out of all the years you were working on it?
When they made me a regular on the show, it's halfway through season 2. They gave me these powers or whatever. And I remember, I was still just kind of recurring, and I wasn't a part of the show yet. And then I got all these powers, and I was freaking out. Like, I'm about to die. And I remember Shannon came up to me. She goes, "Don't worry, you're a good guy." And later that day, they came down. They said, "Hey, we're expanding your storyline because we want to make you a regular on the show, and congratulations." And it was Shannon, the one who told me first. So that always kind of sticks out, because for me, I had a goal of becoming a regular on a TV show, and the way to do that was to guest star, co-star, recur, and kind of work your way in. And all of a sudden, I'm here, and it happened. And so it's kind of a milestone for me, and a feeling that I, had accomplished something. And, for Shannon to tell me that I had done it was pretty gratifying.
Nice.
That's kind of a beautiful memory to end on, I think, for today's panel. So I want to thank you, Brian. Join me in
course, thank
thanking
you.
Brian for
Thank
this
you all.
fantastic appearance. And thank you so much for being at Sinister Halloween Con.
Absolutely. Thank you all for coming
All
out.
right, and go by Brian's table.
Well, and enjoy the weekend.
Oh, thank you, Brian.